Let us continue with the next unit, that is configure path mapping. Config path mapping. Okay. Config path mapping. In the configuration path mapping section, you will configure handler mapping and virtual application and directory mapping. The path mapping page displays different options based on the OS type. Windows app uncontainerized. For Windows app, you can customize the IIS handler mapping and virtual application and directories. Handler mappings lets you add custom script processing to handle requests for specific file extension. To add a custom handler, select new handler mapping, configure the handler as follows. Extensions. The file extensions you want to handle, such as star.php or handler.fcgi. Script processing. The absolute path for script processing. Requests to files that match the file extensions are processed by the script processor. Use the path d colon home slash site slash www root to refer to your app root directory. Arguments. Optional command line arguments for script processor. Each app has the default root path mapped to d home site www root, where your code is deployed by default. If your app root is in a different folder or your repository has more than one application, you can edit or add virtual applications slash directories and directories. You can configure virtual application and directories by specifying each virtual directory and its corresponding physical path relative to the website root dhome. To mark a virtual directory as a web application, clear the directory checkbox. Configure. Okay, in configuration, there is path mapping section. You can configure handler mapping and virtual applications and directory mapping. The path mapping page displays different options based on OS type. Okay, so this was for Windows application uncontained. For Windows application, you can customize the IIS handler mapping and virtual application and directory. Handler mapping lets you add custom script processor to handle requests for specific file extension. To add a custom handler, select new handler mapping. Configure the handler as follows. Okay, so you can add handlers for custom script processing. Okay, extension. The file extension you want to handle. Okay, script processor. The absolute path of the script processor. Request. Okay, so what do you do? Processing and arguments. Okay. Each app has a default root path. You can You'll have to go to the Azure portal and check this out. But okay. Linux and containerized apps. Okay, looks like there are more details here. Linux and containerized app. You can add custom storage for your storage app. Storage containerized app includes all Linux app and also Windows and Linux custom container running on app service. Select new Azure storage mount and configure your custom storage as follows. You can add custom storage from your containerized app. Containerized app include all Li- Linux app and also the Windows and Linux custom containers running on app service. You can add custom storage to your container. Containerized app include all Linux app, also the Windows and Linux custom containerized containers running on app service. Okay. Select new Azure storage part and configure your custom storage as follows. Name, the display name, configuration option, basic or advanced. Select basic if storage account isn't using service endpoint, private endpoints or keyword, otherwise advanced. Storage account isn't using service storage type. Storage account, the storage account in the container you want. Okay. Storage type, Azure Blob or Azure File. Windows container apps only support Azure files. Azure blobs only support read-only access. Storage container for basic configuration. The container you want or advanced configuration. For advanced configuration, the access key. The absolute path in your container to mount the custom image. Check the storage mount settings only applies to deployment slot. Okay, let's proceed to the next unit. Enable diagnostic logging. Enable diagnostic logging. There are built-in diagnostic to assist with debugging a app service. In this lesson, you learn how to enable diagnostic logging and add instructions to your application and how to access the information logged by Azure. The following table shows the type of logging and the platform supported and where the logs can be stored and located for accessing information. Enabling diagnostic log. There are built-in diagnostic to assist with debugging and app service app. In this lesson, you learn how to enable diagnostic logging and add instructions to your application and how to access the information logged by Azure. The following table shows the type of logging and the platform supported where the log can be stored and located for accessing the information. Okay. Expanding the table. Type, platform, location, description, application logging, Windows and Linux, app service, file system, or slash Azure blob storage. Logs messages generated by your application code. The messages are generated by the web framework you choose or your application log directly using the standard log pattern of your application. Each message is assigned one of the following category: web server logging, Windows. Raw HTTP data in the W3C extends the log file format. Each log message includes data like the HTTP method, source URL, client IP, client port, user agent, response code, and so on. Detailed error message. Windows app service like file system copies to detailed Windows app copy of the API.html error page that would be sent to the client browser for security reason. Detailed more error pages should be sent to the client in production. But app service can save the error page each time an application error occurs that the HTTP code 400 or greater. Failed request tracing. Detailed trace information of failed request includes a trace of the IIS component used to process the request and the time taken in each component. One folder is generated for each failed request. Each contains the XML log file and style to view the log file with. Deployment logs helps determine when a deployment fails. Deployment logging happens automatically and there are no configuration settings for deployment logging. Application logs. Okay. Enable application logging. Windows. To enable application logging for Windows apps in Azure portal, navigate to your app and select Application Service Logs. Select on for either application logging file system or application logging blob or both. The file system option is for temporary debugging purpose and turns itself off in 12 hours. Is for long-term logging and needs a blob storage container to write logs. If you regenerate your storage account access key, you must reset the log the respective logging configuration to use the updated key. To do this, turn the logging feature on and off. Okay. You can also set the level of details included in the log as shown in the following table. Level disabled, none. Error critical, warning, includes category information, verbose. When finished, select save. Enable logging in app service log set ops for file system. In quota MB, specify the disk quota of the application log. In retention period, set the number of days the log can be retained. When finished, enable application logging. Enable web server logging. For web server logging, select storage to store logs on blob storage or file system. Web server logging to store logs on app service file system. For web server logging, select storage to store logs on blob storage or file system to store logs on app service file. Add log messages in code. In your application code, you use the usual logging facility to send log messages to the application log. For example, can be used to system diagnostic trace. Add log messaging in code. In your application code, you use the usual logging facilities to send log messages to application log. For example, you use the system diagnostic.trace class to log information to by default uses my dot logging service logging provider. Python application can use open package to send logs. Stream logs. Before you stream logs in real time, enable the log type that you want. By information right to file engine. Any information returned to file ending in .txt, .log, that are stored in the log file directory is streamed by app service. Some types of logging buffer writes to the log file, which can result in out of order event in stream. For example, a application log entry that occurs when a log and a user visits a page may be displayed in a stream before the corresponding page. Azure Portal. To stream logs in Azure Portal, navigate to your app and select Log Stream. Navigate to your app and select Log Stream. Azure CLI. To stream logs live in cloud, use the following command. Local console. To stream logs in local console, install Azure CLI, sign into the account. Once signed in, follow the instructions shown in the. Okay, so this is the command to stream logs. AZ web app log tail hyphen name app name hyphen resource group my resource group. Accessing log files. If you configure the Azure Storage blob option for your log files, you need a client tool that works with Azure Storage. For logs stored in App Service file system, the easier way is to download the zip file in the browser at Linux/container app, Windows app, API dump. API log Docker zip. The zip file contains console output logs for both the Docker hosted and the Docker container. For a scaled out app, the zip file contains one of the logs for each instance. In app service file system, these logs are of home log service directory. Okay, we'll end here.